Hi, I'm Kim Laprie from the Teachers Need Teachers podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Bryon Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshAirAtFive or check out my website, BryonCarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey, PLN, it's Sunday, March 21st, 2021. I'm out here for Fresh Air at 5. Later in the evening, this morning, I took the opportunity to sleep in and get some rest for myself because, we get tired and it's okay to rest. All right, so in this evening's walk, I listened to STEM Everyday podcast with Chris Woods, episode 194, as he talked about a growth mindset in STEM, as he interviewed and spoke with Eric Youngman. And Eric is a director of instruction in his district and has written a book about homework and being deliberate. And I got some thoughts about homework. There's a place and time for it. And when I was an early teacher, my students in my science class, they're like, "Oh, Mr. Carpenter, how come we got so much homework to do?" And I'm like, "Well, what do we do in class every day?" And they're like, "Well, we do all these labs and things like that." And I said, "Well, I can get rid of the homework and have it be less deliberate if we cut out all those labs and that stuff that we're learning on hands-on." And they're like, "Oh, no, let's keep doing that." Because, as they worked through their homework, they saw the relevance of it in our labs and in our classroom, and their curiosity went up. All right, so that's awesome, fantastic. I like your growth mindset conversation. I will need to go back and listen to this because, as educators, we do experience learning and growth and struggle and the things that go along with that. But do we talk to our students about our learning? As I started out this podcast at Fresh Air at 5, I have talked to my students how I have built my podcast and got things going, and share that with them so I can model. All right, everybody, have a fantastic week. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN, it's Monday, March 22 of 2021, and it's the second week of my spring break, and I'm out here a bit later for Fresh Air at 5 because I don't have any place I need to be today, so I got up and enjoyed my morning tying some flies for fly fishing coming in the spring, and then got out here for my walk. This morning I took in Define University episode 62 with Lindsay Titus, and she talks with, in the Share Your Story series, Rachel Howard. And Rachel is out of Florida. And thank you, Rachel, for sharing your journey as a special education teacher of 12 years now that you've been doing this, and your roles have changed. And you've circled back from whence you came at the very beginning of those 12 years. And I think it's really important how you share about how you got to figure out who you are and what you are doing so that you can effectively serve your passions and have your passions serve you in your classroom space. And trying to be somebody that you're not is not good for you or your students. So figure out how you can take the coursework and classroom space that you have to make it into a space that you can be passionate about, so your students see that passion and learn from you. All right, so thanks so much. I really appreciate that. I liked how it ended with that students and children are excited about learning, and that they want to learn things and they want to keep on learning, and we need to be able to support them in their passions as we do that. Fantastic. Listen, need some encouragement? I encourage you to listen to Define University with Lindsay Titus and Rachel Howard. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. One more thing for March 22, 2021, as I'm rounding out the end of Fresh Air at 5, and I just listened to episode 12 of the Good News, Brad News show with Brad Hughes, as Brad brings us a news brief about leading from within. And Brad, the research is incredible how we have to look at the world that we have just, walked through as COVID has started, and how we have needed to rise up in our spaces as leaders in our homes, in our schools, and other places to bring who we are to those places. We have been forced through some difficult times, and it's been difficult for us in various ways. I'm an extrovert, and that being an extrovert, I miss that emotional and physical connection with people, as we have been required to not do that. It's really, really hard, but you know what? I'm thankful for the connections that I have been able to make this past year with my small group of friends, that we are in each other's bubbles. For those that are introverts, I've watched them just kind of enjoy the quiet and the need to not have social interactions with others. It's challenging. We get to see in our spouses and our friends who they are more as we are put under this kind of stress. So I encourage you, as you go through your days, to find the joy, find those moments that bring you a smile to your face, so that you can go back to those and hang on to those. This extrovert looks forward to texting with his friends. He looks forward to engaging with people on social media. He looks forward to his walks in the morning so that he can record a segment for his podcast to share with people beyond himself and his home. All right. Thanks so much, Brad. Appreciate you, and take care. And that wraps up 12 episodes for you. Congratulations. APLN, it's March 23rd, 2021, and today is my mom's birthday. So I'm going to take my mom out for lunch today. We're going to hit a restaurant and go get some beef dip today. So that's going to be fun. Looking forward to seeing her. Alrighty, so here we are. I'm out for Fresh Air at 5 this morning, and spring break, so my schedule's shifted from 5 a.m. to probably 7 a.m. and I am enjoying my morning walking and learning as I listen to different podcasts. This morning's podcast was episode 78 of the Staff Room podcast, as Shay and Pav review their year, the year that was, and it has been a year, and it's been a lot to think about as they have talked about the year that was. I appreciate, Shay and Pav, you sharing your learning about experimenting and growth and struggle, and putting this down on paper, because that on paper is important for us to go back to and to say, hey, there's a moment in time when this happened and I can come back to this later. So that's part of why I'm doing this podcast for myself, Fresh Air at 5, is so that I can go back and go, what did I listen to and reflect on as I was learning out for Fresh Air at 5, my morning walks. So this is part of my journey about documenting and reflecting, and it's important, I believe, that we do those things. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the thoughts, and I like what you had to say, because those things that you had to say resonate with myself and with many of us out here. Happy day, happy Tuesday. Okay, bye-bye. One more thing for March 23rd, 2021. I just took in Shooks and Giff, Season 4, Episode 9, as Jen Giffen talks with Jen Conti about a whole lot of rad tools. And so thank you, Jens, that's Jen Squared, for your thoughts about all these great tools that we can use during now and when we're back in our classrooms face to face. So fantastic. Slides Mania. We had slide tricks, how we can learn and teach our students about design things in slides. My son's working on his capstone project right now, and I asked the question, when was he supposed to have learned how to use Google Slides? I wasn't a teacher at that school, and I'm like, something's missing. So that's my thoughts. Okay, so there's ways that we can get our kids learning about slides to make them better. Maybe I'm going to give my other daughters homework when I get home from this, so that they can learn some tricks about Google Slides, making Google Slides and presentations better. Okay, so there was that one. There was Classroom Q. There was cool text. There was some other things about tools and shortcuts and Mac shortcuts, which are really handy and helpful, that Jen Giffen learned from watching TikTok. So I guess there's good learning on TikTok, right, Jen? You are saying so, so that must be true. All right, I'm just wrapping up here, and it's a beautiful day where I am. I mean, it's cloudy, but it's not raining, and I'm enjoying my fresh air this morning. Jen and Jen, get out and get some fresh air. I encourage you. All right, have a good day. Okay, take a listen to Shooks and Giff, Season 4, Episode 9. Okay, bye-bye. Hey PLN, it's March 24th, 2021, and today is a great day. It's a Thursday. Aren't Thursdays great? I love Thursdays. Thursdays are wonderful. Thursdays are fantastic. You know, it's not Wednesday, it's Wednesday. I don't even know what day it is. No, it's Wednesday. Wednesdays are wonderful. I even like that. It's alliteration. So that's just me putting it out there. Wednesdays are wonderful, and me being positive in the face of maybe negative. And so I don't want you to undermine the negative that's going on. Acknowledge it and decide to move forward with it in your space, so that you can deal with it. And so this morning, as I was preparing for my day, I slept in. It was pouring rain, and I wasn't coming out here at that time. But since then, I participated in a wellness workshop check-in for Can eLearn DL Symposium, and we had guests Brad Hughes and Livia Chan, along with Randy Labonte, Jamie Morrissey, and Michelle Hussey, as they talked about teacher wellness and student wellness and school wellness. And it was fantastic to have kind of a roundtable discussion about that. So if you're looking for a conference to go to in April, check out Can eLearn. That's all one word, Can, CANELEARN. And we've got a link to our DL Symposium in April coming. And so I'm part of that organized committee. Fantastic, encouraging. Sorry about that Mustang GT in the background there. All right, so moving on. I just listened to Leader of Learning with Dr. Dan Kreiness as he talks to special guest Dree Baldwin, who's a basketball player. And I go, what the heck? What do I need to learn anything for a basketball player for? Well, this guy is a basketball player, and he is a motivational expert and has come to terms with how to get through the grind of it. He has a phrase, be, do, and have. And so in the first, being who you need to be, doing what you have to do so you can have the outcome that you're looking for. It's not always that easy, but it's good. Take a listen to Leader of Learning with Dr. Dan Kreiness and Dree Baldwin. Okay, bye. One more thing for March 24th, 2021, as I just pressed stop on that last segment as Dr. Dan Kreiness and Dree Baldwin talked about his experience as a basketball player. I just wanted to talk about the growth mindset attitude that Dree has brought to YouTube and basketball, and keeping it in front of him that this is not easy, but it is possible when you put your mind to it. Doesn't mean that we can make anything happen, but that growth mindset is about, I don't know how to do that yet, so that we can work on it and we can be moving forward. I just wanted to put this in here because you know what? That's a lot of what educators have to deal with, and a lot of people have to deal with on a regular basis as we are moving forward through life. And this pandemic has been a way to expose our growth areas that we need to work on and things that we have struggled with in education. And we've also been able to see our strengths. Appreciate Dree for his conversation with Dan. And Dan, thank you for bringing Dree to us so that we could hear from a non-teacher type. But Dree is an educator. He is an educator. He believes in sharing his message and his story. And it's about publishing and getting your content out there. So thanks, Dree, for your words. I just had to add that. So this is my one more thing for March 23. Bye. Another one more thing for March 24, 2021. As I'm wrapping up Fresh Air at 5 here today, I am enjoying, it's a misty day and it's all good. It's not raining and I'm out getting some fresh air, which is really important to me on the daily, as you already know, likely. Okay, so I was listening to Educational Duct Tape, and I don't know the episode number, but Eric Kurtz was the guest as Jake Miller and Eric talk about technology and talk about creativity and using the tools that we are already familiar with in creative and new ways. And I am a big believer in that, and I have learned so much from Eric Kurtz over the years after I discovered his goldmine blog site, Control-Alt-Achieve. And Eric, it is absolutely a goldmine. You're doing a great job. Keep on doing it and making a difference in teachers' lives. And I was privileged to cross paths at the Abbotsford Google Summit with EdTech Team Canada back in 2018. That's a long time ago, Eric. October 2018 is when we crossed paths, and I took you out for dinner the night before, and we got to dine together over some fish tacos and beers, and it was fantastic. And then the next day, you brought the energy and the enthusiasm and the drive to our summit along with Michelle Armstrong and I can't remember who else was there at that summit, but we had a great time and we learned together, and it was so fantastic. So I really like how you approach using Google Drawings so that you can demonstrate that you can do magical things with it and Google Slides for your banners and graphics and all the things that you do. That's fantastic, because we don't need to teach teachers new tools if they have tools that they aren't using to capacity. And how can we use these tools to capacity? I'm a big Adobe Spark fan, and I like your Build a Snowman project, and I diversified that with Adobe Spark and had my students build snowmen in Adobe Spark with icons. All right, Jake, thanks for having Eric. Thanks, Eric, for talking with Jake. And people, take a listen. Hey, PLN, it's Thursday, March 25th, 2021. That's 3 months since Christmas, and we are 9 months away from Christmas coming up. So don't know why I brought that up, other than it's the 25th, and that's an important day. All right, so this morning out here for Fresh Air at 5, it's a beautiful morning. We have the valley, the Fraser Valley back there behind me, and the rain had stopped while I was sleeping, and it's clearing up, which is beautiful today. It's supposed to come back tomorrow for rain, but that's another day. So hey, this morning, it's great to be out walking and getting some fresh air and doing some self-care for myself by kicking my butt out the door off the couch during spring break and getting some exercise. So during the week of school, it's easier because I've got a regular schedule and I have to do things. But during spring break, my wife even commented to me this morning is that I don't have my regular schedule. She goes, it'll probably be better when you're back to school next week. I'm really enjoying relaxing, but that relaxing is irregular because it's not part of my regular thing that I do. I have to schedule it into my days, and I do that, but when I get to relax all day and I have no schedule, that's kind of challenging. Okay, enough. I'm not complaining about spring break. I'm really thankful for it, so don't hear me say that I'm complaining about spring break. It's just been feeling blah the past couple days, but still getting out for walks. All right, this morning I listened to We Got Tech, the podcast, and it was Eric and Nick, and they talk about their fantasy EdTech draft for 2021. And thanks, gents, for talking with us. And Jeff brought a lot of value to the episode, as Nick and Eric always do, as they brought their EdTech fantasy team draft picks for this year. So now my question is, who gets points? How do we give you guys points? Do we have to tweet out when we use these tools that you mentioned so that you can keep track of it on a little tabulator? Or maybe Jeff, with that form tool we can use to make a form that we could all submit our things. Oh, I'm just kidding. Hey, there's a lot of great stuff. I'm going to jump into teaching my students some of these things. Have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. One more thing for March 25th, 2021. I just listened to Overthrowing Education with Bathsheba Frankel and episode 44 as she talks again with Star Saxton as she did in episode 30 or 43 recently. But this time they talk about assessment and grading and SEL and how we need to care for our students in the way that we provide content. And, I really like the idea of going gradeless, but the challenge with that is we need a whole systemic change. We need the whole system to be okay with that and to be teaching our teachers so that we can work with our students from a young age so that by the time they get to secondary and high school, that we can have a gradeless space. The structure that I work in an online school requires us to give grades and have a grade book and have feedback for our students' work. And when I have 300 students, that's very difficult to do on a regular basis to provide that kind of feedback. But we are making some shifts in that area as we are moving forward in this. This sequence this week is covering off growth mindset. And with growth mindset in the way we use technology, the way that we use assessments, the way that we creatively teach and not be so rigid and stuck in our ways because we are good teachers. Well, we were good teachers when we decided that we are good teachers, but we need to keep on being progressive and having a growth mindset as we approach grading, assessment, SEL, working with students, and caring for ourselves. So thank you, Star and Bathsheba, for your comments and your thoughts as you work through this gradeless space. I like what you have to say. It's challenging to hear, and it pushes on my buttons of, well, that's hard to do. But we do hard things because they are worth it. So keep on going, ladies. Thank you so much. And I encourage you to take a listen to this conversation about going gradeless and SEL with Bathsheba Frankel and Star Saxton on episode 44 of Overthrowing Education. Okay, bye-bye. Hey, PLN, it's Friday, March 26, 2021, and today is my buddy's birthday. So, happy birthday, Ryan. He's one of my listeners, so shouting him out. I knew it was his birthday. Thought I'd say so here. So yes, we're at Friday, and you know what? This is a different Friday than we've had in the past because this is my Friday of spring break. Many of you are not on spring break. All the Ontario people are still working because spring break got pushed back, I learned, until April. So that's a while from now, unfortunately, but it's coming. So I just wanted to say that we have made it to the end of spring break. I'm looking forward to going back to school next week and engaging with my students. I've missed them, and that's a good thing because I'm a teacher and an educator and I work with students. All right. Oh, I'm huffing. This morning as I was walking on for Fresh Air at 5, and this is the final segment for episode number 13 that'll be coming out the end of next week. I was listening to the Staff Room Podcast, episode 74, as Shay and Pav touched a button called What Can We Learn from Imposter Syndrome? And you know what? This is a really good discussion. If you have questions about what imposter syndrome is, it's not a syndrome. It's a phenomenon. It's not medically diagnosed. It has to do with our confidence and our wisdom. And they brought to us a graph called the Dunning-Kruger graph that relates confidence and wisdom and how confidence may be high and wisdom low. And we need to work on that. Another thing that I learned this past week, listening to Dr. Dan Kreines on Leader of Learning with Dre Baldwin, episode 109, is that Dre talked about faking it until we make it. And you know how that will not work, because how long do we have to fake it before we make it? All right, fantastic to hear you guys. Lindsay Titus talks about knowing who you are. This is important as we face ourselves and work with our students to grow them in their understanding of their wisdom and confidence and dealing with imposter phenomenon. Happy Friday. Bye. One more thing for March 26, 2021. This is the final segment for episode 13 of Fresh Air at 5. And this past week, I have intentionally focused on listening to podcasts that talk about growth mindset and what we can learn as growth mindset learners. And you know, the whole growth mindset is about having an attitude of being a learner. We are educators, and educators that are learners are better educators as opposed to those that know it all and don't have to learn. So that's an important part that I think I have highlighted this past week. Things that we need to focus on is being who you are and knowing who you are so that you can do what you need to do and have confidence in doing so. Then you'll have the success that you could have. It has been a privilege to bring you my videos each week and today on Twitter. And if you missed my videos from earlier this week where I talk about these things, check out episode 13 of Fresh Air at 5 that will be dropping on April 2nd at midnight. You can catch them all there. Other reflections can be found in my other podcasts on Fresh Air at 5 on all your podcast catchers, and you could even find a link to that at BryonCarpenter.com, spelled B-R-Y-O-N, Carpenter.com. All right, fantastic. Have a fantastic day. Tell somebody about this. I hope you do, because I enjoy sharing my thoughts out there with you. And take care and be safe and get some fresh air. Okay, bye-bye. As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself, because you're worth it.